love this committee because you get to see everything. It gives you kind of a global view of all the different things that we're doing. And our job really is to largely trust the policy committees to come up with policy, but to figure out how do we, prioritize the funding asks.
I ran around with a spreadsheet and said to people, it's like for every $7 an ask, we have $1.
Yeah.
I said, if you get off this list, it's like you got into Harvard. We did this. We did this together in an era where Washington is a mess.
Yep.
We came together and we did this.
Yeah.
And that felt really good.
Hello, Vermont. I'm Andy Julo.
And I'm Joanna Grossman.
And this is There's No Way in Creemee.
Vermont Politics, Culture, and Beyond.
Thanks for joining us.
Hello, and welcome to There's No A in Creemee. This is, in theory, episode 22.
Yes, it is. The one with the projector image.
That's right. We've got our projector. It's very exciting.
Yes.
It's so pretty.
It's brought you a lot of joy.
Oh my God,
And
I love it.
I've gotten some secondhand joy out of your enjoyment of the projector.
So for people who haven't seen our social media, over the holidays, a couple nights, I put this outside and projected it on my house. And it even spins. And I did that for a little bit. And it was like, I don't get to do Christmas lights because I'm Jewish. So it was like basically the closest thing for me.
I saw you dragged out extension cords and everything to make that work.
Yeah, it was so fun. That was like best day ever. I live on like a major artery in Burlington, and I saw people like slowing down and pulling over and trying to. I hope I caused no accidents. But
Do you?
Yeah. Yes.
I plugged it in.
Yeah.
I projected it against the wall and said, okay, it works. And that's was the maximum of enjoyment that I get out of it. But then I passed it to you.
Yeah.
And it was, it made your holiday season.
It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for one episode, we'll have to have it spinning. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. It won't be distracting at all.
It came in default spin mode, and it came with no battery for the remote to stop it from spinning, so I had to go get a battery.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't like that you can't control it without the remote, because we're obviously going to lose the remote at some point.
No.
No?
We've got to guard that with our lives.
All right. This is fascinating audio.
Look at our social media so you can see it.
Wait, don't do it while you're driving.
But not while you're driving. Thanks for that flag.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a little intro today. In our Statehouse series, we went down to the Statehouse. I think I just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Becca White episode is out, so part of that's already aired.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a bunch of interviews that day. We also interviewed the chair of Appropriations, Robin Scheu, and ranking member, Representative Tiff Bluemle. And we're going to be showing that in a few minutes. They were amazing.
Yep. And we have Representative Mike Marcotte coming.
Yes.
Yep.
He was wonderful.
He'll be a future episode. Yeah, another good interview.
Yeah, he was really great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. And then later, towards the end of this episode, we're going to have our coverage of Nikhil Goyal's launch, his launch for Chittenden Central Senate.
Yep.
And
we were there.
On
Church Street.
Yeah.
In January.
In the cold.
Outdoor launch.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was chilly, but it was really fun.
The sun was out, so the pictures were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did nail that part of it, the visuals of it.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a nice backdrop.
Yeah, it was just cold.
Yeah, it was really an outdoor launch in the middle of January. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is bold.
We're seeing this from a different perspective now as members of the media, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
We went to Molly Gray's. It was indoors. It was heated.
And it was
pastry,
packed.
And they had pastries and coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a very warm and fuzzy look. It was right down the street from, not even down the street, like in the same complex from where we record, too.
Yeah.
So that was pretty convenient. In fact, if you remember, we had a production meeting scheduled for the exact time and location of her launch.
Yes, we did.
We didn't know that. And then we were like, well, we were going to be there anyway. Okay, so we're going to be talking about appropriations today.
Yes.
Would you like to explain for the listeners what that means?
Sure. So there are 2 money committees in each one of the chambers. So in the House, and these are the House members we're talking to on this episode, there's Appropriations and there's Ways and Means. And Appropriations deals with expense and Ways and Means deals with income. So taxation for Ways and Means and the budget for Appropriations. I mean, the bulk of what Appropriations does is deal with the budget.
Yeah.
And they get all these bills that have passed that have money attached to them, and they have to work within the budget to make it happen. And that means a lot of times nixing programs that they just don't have funds for.
So the way I see it, appropriations is how we spend money, and Ways and Means is how we bring it in. And we being the state. Very
good way of putting it. And then in the Senate, they name them. There's a Senate Appropriations Committee, but then the one that deals with how the money comes in is called Finance instead of Ways and Means.
Yeah, just to trip us up there a little bit.
It's personal towards us.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
So we're excited about this, you guys hearing this interview. It was fun to do, and I like their dynamic. I like how Robin and Tiff
they work together really well.
Yeah.
And you'll hear that. You won't necessarily see that so well because we had some technical difficulties down there.
Yeah.
It was ambitious to take our show on we haven't done video all that long. We took it on the road. We had to work with some cameras that we weren't familiar with, and they were a little fisheye when they did work, and when they didn't work, they decided to go in fast motion. So we have footage of Representative Robin Scheu and Representative Tiff Bluemle moving really fast.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. We'll have a little bit of it off of your phone, and then we'll probably just go to a logo or something.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. And actually, by the way, we have a Substack and it has bonus content, and so fans should definitely subscribe to our Substack. And I've mentioned there that, we are hoping to bring in new sponsors and paid subscribers because we would like to invest in some better equipment so we don't lose any more footage or audio. So if you're fans of the show, we'd love that kind of support so that we don't have that happen again. So you can see us and our guests and hear us in high quality and all the things.
Terrific.
On that note, we really hope you enjoy this episode. Representative Robin Scheu and Representative Tiff Bluemle, thank you so much for joining us on There's No Way in Creemee and this special broadcast from the Statehouse today.
It was very exciting.
It's great to be here.
It's your first?
Thanks.
Yes, it's our
Statehouse
first
broadcast.
Yes, and it's so fun. Everybody's been so welcoming and amazing, right?
Yes.
And I love being in the Statehouse. I just love the energy here, and it's just what an amazing opportunity. So you both are leadership on appropriations, and I wondered if you could share with us a little about how and why appropriations. So I think I would love for our listeners to understand what that means, what appropriations means, and then why you chose it.
So the Appropriations Committee is responsible for all appropriations made in state government. And so there could be a $200 appropriation to something, or it could be a $2 billion appropriation for Medicaid. So any bill that has money in it that needs to be spent comes to our committee. The main 2 bills that we do are the budget for the following fiscal year. In our case now, it would be for the FY27 budget, which starts July 1st of 2026. And then when we come back, the other big bill we do is the budget adjustment. So as one would maybe do in their own personal life, you maybe have a budget for the year. Those who do may check partway through the year and say, how am I doing against my budget? Do I need to increase spending here, reduce spending here, cut back? And that's what the budget adjustment is kind of truing up what we've done halfway through the year.
I love this committee because you get to see everything. It gives you kind of a global view of all the different things that we're doing. And our job really is to largely trust the policy committees to come up with policy, but to figure out how do we, prioritize the funding asks. And we've been really lucky, ever since I've been on the committee. we have been running budget surpluses and had federal ARPA money that would fund things that otherwise we would not be able to do. And so it's been exciting to see where we could make investments. I think it is also, we never fund anything to the degree that I think it needs to be funded, that we would want to, but that is like life, right? And I just appreciate the process that we go through, and I love working with other committees too, as they are thinking about this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It is great. We get to see it overall, and then we get to make the ultimate decisions on where we spend the money. So for me, why appropriations is a little bit about my background. I have a banking background. I had my own loan portfolio, $150, $200 million loan portfolio when I worked in Boston in banking, and then I ran a $3 billion division in banking, and then I ran an economic development corporation for Addison County, and I had revolving loan funds there. So I've done a lot of work in finance, and I love spreadsheets. I love numbers. What can I say?
No, I love that.
And so for me, this is a really good fit from my own personal experience that way. And I really like seeing the big picture and being able to help influence and mold where we're going to go with state funds. And, not everybody comes to the State House with a finance background. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I mean, you get what you get when you have elected officials, right? It's whatever the skills are and the experiences are that they bring, which is so interesting, the collection of 150 House members and what they bring, which is extraordinary when you put everybody together. And we just haven't found a lot of people with a finance background who've done this work.
Sure.
So I'm honored to be able to do this work here.
That's
great.
Amazing.
I was watching your reconciliation last year because we had a horse in the fight, and it didn't make it through the process. But I thought, what a difficult job is that. All this is great stuff, and it's gotten through the policy committees, and you have to make that determination.
Yes.
This goes forward, and unfortunately, this has to wait for a future year.
Well, last year we started something new where we kept a spreadsheet of all the asks from sometimes from agencies, but from other organizations that we work with, that we fund, that would like to be funded by the state and all of that. And we had over $3 million in asks. Yep. And we had a potential of up to maybe $45 million that we could flex on the other side, because you can't create money where you don't have any.
Yeah.
So I ran around with a spreadsheet and said to people, it's like for every $7 in ask, we have $1.
Yeah.
I said, if you get off this list, it's like you got into Harvard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. And so I was trying to help people shift their thinking from all the COVID years when we had all these federal funds. And at the same time, we had a new government in Washington, a new administration, who we could see was going to be taking money away. So, and we didn't know where that was going to be. And even now, from day to day, one is never quite sure. I mean, some things we know about, but some things we don't. So we really needed to be careful with how we spent the money and try to anticipate where it was going to be needed. So, if people came in with $1 million and they got 400,000 or 200,000, they were happy, because they, in the context of what was available, getting anything was really a big deal. And we tried to balance that across all the needs.
Right.
That was an interesting challenge.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, it worked. It made it very transparent what you had to work with, and it was. It just couldn't all go through.
It is a team sport, because our little committee is charged with making final decisions about things, but those final decisions are also influenced by the priorities of the speaker, the chairs of committees. The committees work really hard to prioritize the asks that the governor has recommended and that others have recommended. So, the budget is the product of a lot of different hands, and has gone through a lot of debate by the time it gets to us, which I like too, because I just think that what we produce is going to be better.
Yeah. And then, we do all this work and present what we think is a pretty darn good budget, and then it goes to the Senate.
Sure.
And then the Senate does their thing. Well, the Senate does their thing. And, last year we weren't off in all that many
No.
areas. We're always going to have differences.
Sure.
But then we have a committee of conference that is 3 folks from Senate Appropriations and 3 folks from House Appropriations, and we negotiate. And that's a really interesting process too, and that was done in this very room, our committee of conference, and Tiff and I were both on that, as well as our former vice chair, who just left today, Representative Harrison. And then there were 3 from the Senate side. So we, had a lot of conversations about how to get to a place. And we got to a place where all 6 of us felt good. It was unanimous. We had a unanimous vote out of our committee on the budget that we sent to the Senate. When, after the committee of conference was done, we had a roll call vote on the budget in the House, and it was 132-3.
Wow.
Who voted for it. And what was so wonderful about that particular vote is I could feel the lightness happening in the floor in the chamber of people as we were getting everybody going, saying yes. There's always a couple naysayers, so
Sure.
wasn't too worried about that. But at the end, it was like, I think people were looking around like, we did this. We did this together in an era where Washington is a mess.
Yep.
We came together and we did this.
Yeah.
And that felt really good. I mean, it was really wonderful.
Well, in
So-
my first 2 years, we weren't able to do that.
No.
And the budget was, a party line vote. And it was a great feeling.
It was. I mean, people were sending thank you notes.
Wow.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
To the
where
Sheriff
does that happen?
Appropriations, I mean, that's
To
amazing.
me, it was
Yeah.
amazing. Yes, that's a new thing.
Wow.
So I think that it's important to be as transparent as you can and keep people aware of what's going on. Now, they can choose to listen or not, but we're not being secretive about what it is we're doing.
Yeah. Tiff, I love that you flagged that you like the process. I love like process and like really, I don't know, it's hard to explain, I guess, which is silly because I'm a podcaster, but I just kind of feel like, I love like that you guys are so committed to transparency and that you wanted, like, it's such an interdisciplinary part of government and that you're really kind of trying to like build process inclusivity and context. I love how you kind of shopped it around to different committees to like say, hey, this is hard.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we can.
And we could, in February, have a very clear idea of where we're going, and then the federal government shuts down, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an iterative process. It is
Right.
responsive to external needs that emerge and that we don't necessarily have any control over. And that, I think that can sometimes really generate creativity reduce rigidity and ideology.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good dovetail. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just curious. I mean, I think we touched on this a little bit, but with so much volatility from the federal government, I mean, how does that impact how you approach your work here in the State House?
Well, last year we asked all the agencies and departments to come in after we had passed the budget out of the House and it was in the Senate. Our job reduces dramatically. So it's a chance for us to do more learning. And at that point, the federal government, they had that non-federal agency called DOJ. It was not a sanctioned agency, who was cutting everything left, right, and center. And it was starting to affect folks in our agencies and departments. And so we actually spent some time having them come in and just talking to us about what was happening. Was there anybody on the other end of the phone if they tried to call, which there often wasn't because people were being cut, and what was being cut in their budgets, and what were the things, the budget, where were they getting federal funds that they were most worried about, and what would be the impact to Vermonters and to their budget and to their staff. So we were trying to get a lay of the land, and I think it was helpful for them too to be able to spend some time thinking about that. Because we didn't know. It was before HR 1, which is what I'm calling it, because that's what it is.
I'm so
was
with you
passed
on
in
that.
July. And you know, we didn't know where things were going to land. So that was helpful to hear. I sit on the Joint Fiscal Committee, which is the 4 money chairs and then a few other people. There's 5 in the House and 5 in the Senate. And we had extra meetings this year to find out what was going on with federal grants. In our budget, we put in some triggers on the governor could decide if things were cut by a certain percentage, and then the Joint Fiscal Committee and the Emergency Board would decide if it was something over that, and if it was over that, the General Assembly would have to come back for special session. And thankfully, we did not get to that place. That didn't happen a lot because HR 1 has certain dates that are effective that are after the midterm elections, I surprise.
Convenient.
So they would actually affect the FY27 budget if they start in January of 2027, but they aren't in effect for us when the session. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's definitely interesting times. And the other thing that I'm not hearing a lot about, but we need to not forget, is that there could be a government shutdown again at the end of January 30th, because the continuing resolution was a 90-day continuing resolution, and that's when it ends. I don't know what's changed.
Yeah.
Other than Venezuela, I don't know what's changed. So, you know.
Well, that's just something, there's so much here about, like, related to what we've been talking about. One of them is, as the state loses federal funds, it becomes more and more important, in my mind, for Vermonters to be reinvesting in Vermont and making sure that our tax revenue and our, business dollars multiplier effect is all happening here in Vermont to, like, continue turning the economy here. But that only affects you directly in so much as where we're bringing in more tax revenue. I'm trying to get my head around, and I guess you guys really are too, but how do you build a budget based on not knowing? Yes, uncertainty, volatility, like that. Just I don't know how you can do it.
Well, that is a challenge. Next week, the emergency board is going to meet. We meet twice a year, unless we need to meet more, which we actually did last year, but normally twice a year. And the main topic is to receive the consensus revenue forecast update. So what does it look like for revenue coming into the state? We get monthly information. You may have seen, because it's very public in Vermont Biz and other places, November, we came in below target for general fund revenue fairly significantly it's been years since that's happened. It's 1 month. We don't know if that's a trend until we hear more months, but that's all we have so far. But the 2 economists, the legislator's economists and the governor's economists, get together and create a forecast that they agree on, and they present it to us at the emergency board, and then we accept it. And once we do, those are the numbers that we use for developing the budget. So the governor has the budget, I'm sure, just about entirely done, except he doesn't have this information. So, and then he's giving the budget speech on the 20th. So he has the weekend, basically, on Monday, before he gives that speech. So depending upon what we hear on that Friday could impact what happens with the budget. And that's what we're going to have.
Well, yes, and so we don't know. We don't know what to expect in terms of revenues. We don't know what to expect in terms of the federal scene, but we actually, there's a lot we don't know about the impact of Medicaid changes, changes in SNAP policy, or the Affordable Care Act subsidies that 30,000 Vermonters take advantage of and need. We don't know what the impact of those changes will actually be. How many of the 30,000 will actually be able to buy insurance in the private market? Not clear until it becomes clear,
Right.
With SNAP and Medicaid, the issue of eligibility is really, I think, largely in the hands of state governments. Mm-hmm. So how well poised are we? How well equipped are we to make sure that everybody who is eligible stays eligible, and doesn't drop from those programs? So there's a certain degree of control that we have, but I've been trying to understand how well we're preparing in our various departments to make sure that we don't lose. We lose the least number of people, the lowest number of people that we can.
And some of that's been subject to interpretation because there's been disagreement, for example, on who is eligible for SNAP, and some foreign refugees our state government has made the assumption that they weren't eligible, and lots of other people have said, no, that's wrong, they are eligible. So that's where there's going to be challenges. And when you're not getting really clear guidance out of Washington, or they're changing their rules every 20 minutes, which also happens, it's difficult.
And you think about a budget both in terms of numbers, but you also think about it in terms of people, So what is the impact? What are we going to see? Are hospital emergency rooms going to be inundated with folks who could not afford their own private insurance and so that they could go visit a doctor? We don't know, but I think it's likely that it will have an impact.
Right, or when they come, they'll be sicker because they don't have insurance, so they're holding off to the last minute. So, predicting human behavior, I'm not a behavioral economist, and I'm not sure they do too well either. So, so it's, the premium tax credits went away January 1st, so people have started making their first payments. So there may be some data that's available about that, but it's too early to know the impact in hospitals at this point. It just hasn't been enough time, or what other impacts that we haven't foreseen.
Yeah. We just did an episode with Owen Foster that came out today. So as you're talking, we're like, this is a really
Sounds familiar.
Absolutely. But it's good. We're all on the same page, at least understanding the challenges,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're almost out of time, and I want to be respectful of them. We appreciate your talking to us here. I just wonder, a last question here. Even you're at the end of the assembly line, but are there bills out there that you are really either looking forward to, excited about, concerned about as Vermonters when you go and sit down in that big room to vote that you look forward to handling?
Well, I really look forward to resolving the differences that we may have over the education issue.
That's the big one.
I look forward to some of the healthcare legislation that's going to come out, including real tightening regulation of private equity involvement in healthcare. I think that those are the two things that are top of mind for me. Healthcare, I used to try to avoid at all costs because it's complicated. I don't even understand all the terms and the acronyms, and yet it really all roads lead to healthcare, it seems right now.
Yeah.
Yes, huge costs. And so I would agree. I mean, education, healthcare, housing, those are kind of the top three issues. We've put well over $1 billion into housing over the last few years, but as you know, it takes a while from the time you have the money till all the other financing pieces are in place, till you start breaking ground and then actually have something that people can live in. So Tiff and I went to several groundbreakings this year, which was really fun, to see what's happening. So it's happening, but it just, you don't, you spend $1 billion and you don't suddenly see, 40,000 houses sprouting up because of that, so it does take time, but I think most legislators would say that those are probably the three big, party aside, that those are the issues, how we get there and how we deal with it. People get very passionate about education, as you know, regardless of whether their own children are involved. Everybody has an opinion.
Yep.
So that will be after the budget, the most challenging one, I think.
Yeah. You guys were both so amazing. I feel like you could have your own podcast. You're like such a great dynamic.
Have fun. She can sing.
Well, you're welcome back anytime, and thank you both so much for your time and for your service to Vermont, truly.
Hey.
Thank you.
Well, that's a privilege to serve,
It really is.
It's hard. It is definitely the hardest job I've ever had. And just because all of a sudden I can't be just an advocate and argue vociferously for my thing, I find you have to really take it all in. And that's been a good exercise for
Yeah,
me.
it is a privilege. You don't do this for the money, but it's an amazing honor to be able to be here and do this work. I just so grateful to be able to do it.
Thank you so much.
Nikhil, hello. Welcome to
How are
this
you?
little mini segment of There's No Way in Creemee. Can you do me a favor? Will you say your name for me?
Sure. Nikhil Goyal.
Nikhil Goyal.
There you go.
So I've totally been botching it. My apologies.
It's okay.
Tell us what we're doing here today.
Well, today I was really proud to announce my candidacy for Vermont State Senate in Chittenden Central.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm really thrilled. I really just appreciate and overwhelmed by the support and the care and all the people that showed up and the people that are committed to this fight.
Yeah, you got a nice crew, especially on kind of a chilly day.
Yes,
but
a
you
beautiful
got the sunshine.
day. Yes, still a beautiful day.
Aw, that's so great. So tell us a little about why you're running.
So I'm a sociology professor, an educator and policymaker. We've been really struggling in this state with the cost of living.
Yeah.
People are being crushed by skyrocketing property taxes, the highest healthcare premiums in the country, rising housing costs. Immigrants are being kidnapped on our streets. Our public schools are being threatened with cuts and under attack. I don't see the leadership to fight for working people in Montpelier. We need a different approach. And I got very involved with the fight around public education last session. And it inspired me to run for office because we are not really addressing the biggest cost drivers of property taxes, and that is healthcare. We're missing the forest for the trees. And working people are counting on us to deliver for them. You know, the authoritarianism succeeds when people feel economically secure, isolated, and don't feel that government is working for them.
Yeah.
It's on us to restore that faith in government. And that's what my campaign is trying to do.
Yeah. So you're the first primary challenger of the season that we've talked to. How does that feel to be pushing against, in Vermont, incumbency is so powerful. How do you feel about pushing up against that?
It's a challenge, but I'm ready for this fight. I plan to do an aggressive grassroots operation, knocking on doors, talking to people in their homes, in their businesses, in their community centers, really meeting voters where they're at and listening.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. People just want to be heard. They feel frustrated. They feel they're in a state of despair. They are overwhelmed the way what's happening in Washington. And they just want people to hear them, listen to them, and to push for solutions that will improve their lives.
Yeah.
That's what I think this moment needs. It needs fighters, not folders. It needs champions of working people, not people that are going to sell working people out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. And good for you for getting in. When Howard Dean was on a few months ago, he was saying he just thinks people should run and not be afraid of incumbency and get into it. And I've always said that with my candidates too. So I just really appreciate you stepping up and getting in the fight. And we'll be following the campaign as it unfolds.
Absolutely, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode.
Thank you all for listening.
Follow us between episodes for the latest updates on our socials at There's No A in Creemee on Instagram, Substack, and Blue Sky.
And catch us on our next episode of There's No A in Creemee, Vermont Politics, Culture, and Beyond in Apple Podcasts and Spotify.